Okay, this video will explain how to do practice 6 and also a few of the concepts along the way. Okay, so in this one, Charles Chadwick starts a business called Charlie's Detective Service, January 2016, at the beginning of the month. That's the best time to start a business. He sets up his T accounts, and it gives you what they're named, and you can see them below there. They want us to do the following transactions and record the balance and foot the balances if necessary. If there's only one transaction, as you know, we don't need to really foot it. They've also put these on left and right side. Notice assets equals liabilities plus owner's equity, and so your assets are under here, your liabilities are here, and your equity is here. So we start out, just as I've talked about to begin with investing cash in the business. So letter A, cash is $29,162, and we also have to increase his capital account, letter A, $29,162. The next one, we bought office supplies for cash, so we paid cash for office supplies. So B, office supplies were $377, and we have more supplies, so we add to the asset $377. Okay, so C, we bought office furniture for cash. So again, we're going to decrease our cash, the asset cash, $45.13, and we're going to go down here and office furniture, be sure you get it in the right account, and that's C, and it's $45.13. And you can look up there and verify that you've put the same amount twice. You want to be very careful. Our accounting, those people in accounting careers are very meticulous about details, so you want to always check yourself to be sure you're putting them in the right place. The next time we purchased, but this time on account, and we purchased computer and printer equipment, a computer and printer on account for $7,580. So in D, we're going to owe $7,580. So I put that on the right side of accounts payable, showing we owe more money. And I'm going to go down here to computer equipment, labeled it D, and it was $7,580. And again, it's a good idea to verify that amount. Much easier to find the error during that transaction than at the end. Letter E, we've received cash, so I'm going to change this. This is a new type of transaction for us. We've received cash from clients for services, $25.63. So we debit cash. We get cash from investments, but we also get cash from our clients, the whole reason we went into business. And that was received cash, and we want to increase our, if I can find it, our, probably looking right at it. Oh, it's scrolled over. Unfortunately, on this one, you are going to have to scroll over. So that one was letter, now that scrolling will drive us crazy. Unfortunately, it's part of this program. So clients and services, E, $25.63. What you might want to do is write it down so you don't have to keep scrolling back to be sure that you've got the right amount. $25.63. So a credit to professional fees and a debit to cash. If you have a larger screen, you may not have to do that scrolling. Okay, the next one is F. We paid cash, so I'm going to go ahead and decrease cash, F, and we paid cash on account for that printer that we computer printer we purchased earlier, so it's $36.87 credit, and go down to computer or to accounts payable, and that would be F, and it would also be $36.87 because we no longer owe that amount. And that one's easy to see. Okay, G, earned professional fees on account. So they didn't pay us right up front, but they have made a promise to pay later. So we go to accounts receivable because that is our promise to pay account from our clients. So we go to G and it's 9,447, and we go down and oh, I'm sorry, that should be on the debit side because that is an asset. And that's the best way to find those kind of errors right then. So I'm going to take it out of there. So debit, and then I want to go down here to my professional fees account and credit it for 9,447. And that was G, I believe. 9,447. Okay, then the next one is H, paid cash. So I'm going to do H, paid cash for 1706. And what are they paying cash for? Office rent, which is a debit account. So I go down here to rent expense, H, and it was 1706. And then I paid utility bills for the month. Since I'm already down here, I'm going to go ahead and go to I and utility bills, 726. And that could be all of them lumped together: water, electricity, telephone, cell phone, your data, internet expense, that kind of thing. And I need to credit cash for the same amount, 726. And then J, received cash. So I go up here and do J, received cash from clients, 6215. So those that I have billed have actually paid the money. So I received it, and then I'm going to take it out of this asset, and that was 6215. Subtract it from the accounts receivable because they no longer owe me that money. And then the last one, I'm going to withdraw cash. So K, and withdrew cash for 3464, and I want that for personal use, so I'm going to put it here, and it was 3464 for my personal use, cash for my personal use. And that's determined by if it's a single proprietorship, a one owner business. That is how he determines what amount he can live on until he starts making money on his business. And when you finish, be sure you foot. I'm not going to go through that because I think you can do that. If you go to cash, add all those on the credit side first, add those on the debit side, subtract the two, and your answer should go here on the debit side. Excuse me, because cash is a debit balance account. Accounts receivable, you just need to subtract the two since you only have the two items. You don't need to foot office supplies, computer equipment, or office furniture because there was only one item. Here, subtract the two sides. The larger side is your credit because it's a payable, and so your amount would go here. Only one effect to capital, so nothing there. And your drawing, you only had one, so you don't need to do any footing on any of those. And then the one that we couldn't see very well, you do need to add those two. Once you finish, check your work and then submit your assignment. Okay, let's look at number 7. And they give you balances to begin with in this one. This one's a little bit longer problem. So the following accounts have normal balances already from a previous month. Prepare a trial balance for Kenny's Lawn Service as of September 30th. List the accounts in order of assets, liabilities, owner's equity, revenue, and expenses. If an amount box does not require an entry, leave it blank. Okay, so on the first blank here, the account, and we would list them in the order that we see them up there, would be cash. and it's a debit balance, so we would put it on the debit side, 10,200. The next one would be accounts receivable, and that amount would be 6,350. Be careful about doing what I just did and transposing numbers. That is a common error in accounting. Transposing meaning switching two numbers around. Your supplies account, and that amount is 1445. Your prepaid insurance, and that amount is 1,005. Delivery equipment, and that amount is 15,745. Accounts payable, 4,430. And that's a credit side, so be sure you watch that. Kenny Young Capital, 18,310. Again, a credit balance. You have to remember, and that's the main thing about doing this, is when you change to a credit side. Kenny Young Drawing, 2,080. And that one would go on the debit side because drawing, remember, decreases capital, so it has to be on the opposite side. Delivery fees, 20,195, and they increase capital, so they should be on the credit side, same side as capital. Wages expenses, and that should be a debit. All expenses are debits because they do decrease your capital. 4,245. And rent expense, 1,865, I believe, yes. And that's a debit. Then you want to go back through and make sure you put them on the right side because it's real easy to mess up and put them on the incorrect side. Two expenses, both debits. Delivery fees is a credit. Drawing is a debit. Your capital and liabilities are credits, and then all your assets are debits. So it looks like they're all on the correct side. And then you would want to total them and make sure that they are equal. So we'll try this. 10,200 plus 6,350 plus 1,445 plus 1,005. I'm only adding the debit side. $42,935. And then on the credit side, hopefully it equals, because if it doesn't, I've made a mistake. 4430 plus 18,310 plus 2195, and that equals 42,935. Always a good feeling when you know the two equal. Check your work. And if it all equals, then you can submit your work. Now, if you don't check it and submit it, you may come back and find that it's not there. So be sure that you do check your work and submit it. You can also save it if you want to come back to it later, but you do need to remember to be sure and do that. End of this video.